Got a little bit of sad news to share with you guys before I get started today. Bob the shop rooster is no longer with us. You've probably seen him in previous videos here and there. But a neighborhood dog came on to our property this week and attacked him and about a dozen of our hens. So he'll be missed. I said, just a silly bird, but he was a pet to us, and he's actually been in his shop almost the entire time I've been working on this truck. He comes in and just hangs out. So he's going to be missed. I think he was about 5 years old, but quite a personality on him. Such a friendly bird. So we'll miss old Bob. So what I'm going to be working on today is something I've been looking forward to for a long time since learning about him. Is the Altman latch kit that replaces the factory latches on these trucks. And my passenger door always shut well, but my driver's door is long since worn out. And in fact, let me show you real fast what I've been doing for years to fix it is I just had electrical tape wrapped around this piece here, and that allowed me to adjust the tension on it. But this thing's wobbly. Like I said, I probably don't need to go into how poor these latches were when they were new to you guys, but I'm real excited about this. This is supposed to make a dramatic improvement to the latching system. So that's about as good as that door ever shut. I would always add some weather stripping in here to kind of make that not as bad. Driver's door, though, that's always been in good standing. This piece here is tight. I mean, you can't even move it, which is how it's supposed to be. And of course, you're going to assume the passenger door gets used less, so it's going to shut normal. But this one, I really don't have any major complaints about it. Well, it's got a little bit in it, but compared to the other side, it's very minor. Good set of weather stripping could probably fix that. But the issue with these is, well, it's the closing, but the safety issue too is these have been known to get the frame gets enough body twist that doors will pop open. So these have never been, these aren't the kind of doors you really want to lean on when you're heading down the highway and making a sharp turn. A little bit of weight pushing out and a body twist, I guess they can pop open. So these address those issues from what I've read. Better, a more modern style latch system. You won't no more doors popping open when you're doing donuts in the supermarket parking lot. And this is kind of what they look like. Sheet metal, and then the door does need to be cut out. It comes with a template and instructions, so we'll go through all that. But it's a more modern style lock here, much safer for sure. And then these are the pieces that go on the body, same style, but it should have a peg in there, I'm assuming, that catches in that lock there. So we'll go through all that here. Oh yeah, here are the door pegs here, the whatever you want to call them. So that's what we're going to be tinkering on today. Looks pretty straightforward. I mean, I'll be curious how easy the old latch comes out. But throw the template on there, notch the door out, screw them on there. I think these are supposed to be really easy, so we'll find out. The model I got, they sell a couple different ones, like if you have shaved door handles and stuff, but this one's AEL FT5356. I've seen 53 through 56, but I think you have to buy a different kit. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure you buy a different kit if you have like the shaved handles and stuff on the outside. They make a different one for that. I don't know what the difference is, but and it doesn't really matter in my case. But just an FYI, if you're shaving stuff or changing the way your doors operate from stock, they might have a different kit for you. So do your research before you purchase. But so we'll get started on this. First step to doing this is getting your old hardware out. Door handle comes off, lock comes out, and then the latch here, and also the lower window channel back here. What I did first is got some PB Blaster and then sprayed the front of the screws in the back where the threads are. Same thing on the door handle and everything else. That way I had a good chance of getting this stuff out on the first go. Make sure you get a good fitting screwdriver so you don't round those out, because they could be stuck in there hard. Sometimes it doesn't hurt to put the screwdriver on it and then hit the back of the screwdriver with a hammer. Just that shock, that impact can kind of help break those rusty connections loose. So on the lock, we've got 3 screws on this side there, and then 1 on the inside here. I believe that was it. Let me double check. Yep, 3 and then 1. Yep. So that's all it takes to get that out. The door handle I took off first, and once you take this off, you got a little bit, you can kind of look in there, you know, and kind of see around, or spray your fluid behind there. So this has 1 screw there that comes in on the door jamb side, and then that nut there is up inside there, and I think that was a 3/8 nut on that. The lock itself, I'm dropping stuff here. The lock here, it just has a slider clip on it. I just put this in a little bit ago, or recently, because I didn't have one at all. So I don't have the connection that went from here to the latch. I don't know what that looks like, or anyway, we'll worry about that when we go to the new kit. Maybe I'm missing parts, I don't know. And then for the window channel that runs down behind the latch here, got 2 screws down here, and then 1 up here. I think that was it. And then that piece just comes off. It looks like this guy here. So lower window channel is there. So those 3 screws, that just falls out. Or just kind of cambers over like that and came right out. Almost fell out while I was doing it anyway. And then you've got a rod here that connects to your door handle, and that's connected on this this piece here. So you can see how it's shaped like that, and that's shaped oval too. So you just got to turn this at 90 degrees, and then you can just pop it right out. So it just I've got this upside down, but there you can kind of see. So you just, once the lock's unhooked, I just had it dangling right here, and then I just turned that and popped it out. So nothing much of that. You can see here, while this one was, well, probably one of the reasons it was poor, but this piece right here is all sloppy. So I probably could have took this out years ago and tack welded that or something. I don't know. I just always lived with it. Like I said, I showed you earlier, I put just a bunch of electrical tape on that to tighten up the connection, but that was pretty terrible. And the door handle, it just has a thing that just pushes against this. It doesn't physically connect to the latch at all. It literally just pushes on that, and it does have a little adjustment screw so a guy could tweak that as needed. Here's the little template they send. It's just printed out on a sheet of paper, and then you just cut it out with some scissors. So since I'm doing the driver's side first, I have to fold it the opposite way, but they've got a little mark here. It says align to the old hole, so I've just moved that mark to the other side. So what I'll do is just get that lined up there, put a few little pieces of masking tape on it, and then get that scribed and transferred onto the door here. So here's how I did that. Just tape it on there and just line it up as best you can, straight across that old hole. I'll get her marked and cut out. Making some progress on notching this out. What I'm doing is just using my little die grinder here with a cutoff disc. That way it's easy to control, and I can make nice straight cuts on these long runs. Now I'm going to get my little air body saw. It's just a little, I'll show you in a minute, but and that'll allow me to cut in these corners and finish that plate out. Here's what the little body saw looks like. So again, that'll allow me to get into those tight corners and get those notched out. Guy could maybe do these with drill bits or something and just cut into them with the cutoff disc, but since I have this is what I'll use. But I'm sure you guys could get clever if you didn't have something like this and get in there with that. Well, no going back now. I guess I could weld it back in there, but so we got that guy notched out of there. and I might need to grind this out just a hair. I kind of kept my line just inward a little bit. It's easier to grind stuff out than put stuff back. So, and maybe it's not even that critical how perfect this is anyway. Their template's not that precise, so my guess is just a hole-ish. Probably good enough for what it is. So here I have just the latch. And as you can see, if that hole ain't coming out perfect, I really don't think it's going to make that big of a difference. So now I'll look at the instructions and see how I line up the holes here. There's some kind of reference here I think I'm supposed to use, so probably that one there. Which means I might need to notch the top out a little bit to get that hole to line up horizontally correctly. So we'll do that here. So I'm working on getting this hole here aligned horizontally with this hole, you know, in that regard. I don't think it matters as much depth-wise as it does horizontally, but everything's looking pretty good except for this upper corner here is interfering with this corner right here. So I'm going to have to kind of notch that area out a little bit more than their template had, at least on my door. And what I also noticed here is this there's got a little bit of an indent here, like this one's been smacked. Obviously, it's, look at all this down here has just been chewed up and repaired. So take your time. All these are going to be different. This isn't precision because the way these doors have been treated for years. So take your time, read the instructions, line it up good. So like I said, it's easier to leave too much material than come back and put it back. I don't think this hole's all that sensitive. It's just access to get that in here. But when this is in place here, it covers that. I mean, it covers a large amount. So I don't think you have to be too paranoid. Just don't cut that hole out because I think you're going to reuse that. And then, so I'll work on getting that lined up and notched out a little bit more. What I had to do, I had to just kind of keep coming across that at a straight line. You can see what I did there. And that allows this tight to run in flush. And then I can run it up and I'll line it up to that factory hole horizontally. So it's not perfectly in line depth-wise, which should be going left to right or right to left here, but up and down, that's a perfect, that one there. So that's perfectly aligned height-wise or horizontal. So we'll get these holes marked and go from there. In the instructions, it recommends putting in a 1/4-inch bolt to tighten this down before you drill the holes, but since mine's off a little bit depth-wise, I just scribed it with a little, I just used this little guy here, just sharpened, just did that, and then came back and drilled it. And then I'll just kind of notch, probably I'll notch this out just a hair to fit that factory hole correctly. And what I like to use are these little step bits. These are supposed to be 9/32 holes, which this bit has. So I just put a mark on the 5/16, which is, I don't know if you can see that very well, but it's just the next size up. That way I can visually see as I'm punching through there to not use the black one to drill. So, so that's working. So we'll get it bolted on there and see how that looks. I've got it all bolted in. These Allen head bolts come with the kit. Those are a 5/32 Allen wrench. And then the nut on the other side's I think 7/16. So main thing is, as you're going, you know, make sure you got no gaps. It's supposed to fit nice and tight all the way around. What you can do is kind of snug these up if you need to, and then just kind of bop that in real good if you can't hold it and do, you know, if you don't have extra hands, it's hard to push in and then run both sides of these nuts and bolts. But if you just snug that up tight and then whack it with a mallet or something real lightly, it'll slide a little bit, and then you can tighten it up the rest of the way. So moving on to the next step. The next step of the instructions is to take this plunger out, this guy right here, take it all the way out, remove this lock nut, and then screw this plunger back in until it bottoms out on that plunger there. So, or whatever you want, the screw and the plunger, however you want to call it. But this, you can see that's what goes in and out when we push the door lock in. So again, so we're taking this out, taking this lock nut completely off, and then screwing that back in. So I've got that plunger ran all the way in, and I still got a little bit of threads left out, so I don't know if that's far enough or not, so we'll test it and see. Otherwise I might have to cut a little bit off that bolt to get it to go in there farther if that's not tight enough. Doing some testing here. So with that plunger in where I had it, I also added some new rubber grommets. You can see I ordered those a while back, so good time to put those on. And I only mention that because that could make a difference on that spacing. Anyway, where it is for me, or where it was, looks like that works just fine. So as it's in the lock position, give it just a little bit of, and we're good. So guy could maybe run that in a little bit farther. I don't know. No, there's some slop there, so it's not up against it when it's tight. So that should be fine. I'm hooking up the inside lever to the latch. So I just wanted to point out here. So that rod that runs to the handle is going to connect to this thing right here. The instructions aren't real clear, so that's why I'm clarifying this. So what I've done is I took these came with the kit. There's a couple lock washers, so I took one of the lock washers and one of the regular 1/4 inch bolts, and then a flat washer. So that's what I've used to attach the rod. So I use the bolt in the flat washer like this, and I'll show you in a second in the door, and that'll go through the rod and then through the hole here, and then the lock nut on the back side of this. And then that, you don't want that to be tight because that rod has to slip on that as this fulcrum moves. So I'll show you what it looks like inside the door. So here we are in the door, and you can see where that rod attaches there. I can't get my finger there to point, but it's back in right there. So again, it's got a lock nut on there, so it doesn't have, it's not going to fall off if it's not tight. So I gave it just enough, bear with me here, just enough so that rod, see if you can see this or not, how that rod can, yeah, see how you can see that rod can slide on there. So I'm not sure what's going on here with the striker here. It won't go flush because the bolt, so you can see the back. Well, turn the sideways here for a second. Anyway, I'll pull it off and show you. But oh, that's a little better. See, the head of that sticks out past the back of that, so that won't go on there. And then this fitment in there is really strange. Let me show you on another one. So here's the other side, and this piece here, it just loosely, I mean, what is with that? And then it's not even close to fitting. I don't know. I got to looking, and the instructions aren't very clear about this. It just says, you know, mount it. But on here, it looks like there's a little washer or something behind that. And I don't have that in this kit. I've dug through everything, and everything I've got is left in this box, other than, you know, the instructions and the template and what I've already installed. But there's no washers that look like that go between here and there. But if there was, it would space it out to where that bolt wouldn't hit the cab. So I guess I'll have to email them real fast and see. I wonder if I'm missing a part. So we'll find out. Well, when I was talking earlier about doors flying open, I can definitely see where this one would have maybe caused a problem. Just took this thing off, and it's that is no bueno. Tell you what, that's separate enough that door could definitely come open. Not good. So I've emailed Altman about that striker issue, so I'll wait to hear back from them. So I've just got this piece installed, which is new. It replaces the factory piece. So you've got to pull this spring up enough to release the tension, and then it slides out. So that's basically how I got that in there. So you can see a little closer. This is a new spring that I ordered a while back because I knew I was missing one. And it was kind of a pain in the butt to get on here. I make sure to put the small end on the outside and the big end on the inside, or towards the lock. Otherwise it just pushes itself out around this thing and falls off. Ask me how I know. Anyway, this seems to work. It's holding it in there tight, so I think that'll be fine. So I'm getting this lock put back in. So you got to be real careful to line that little piece in to reach in, to fit into the latch here. So I just looked up underneath here while I guided it in. But something I misled on earlier is this clip. When I was describing how I pulled it out from the inside, it's supposed to come out. It's supposed to go in and out from the outside here. So didn't realize that, I guess. So I'll reinstall it, because like I said, this one didn't have it on here, so I just put it on my way, and then I got to looking on the other side. It's supposed to go in like that to hold it in. So that was a mistake on my part. Since I'm not able to finish up the driver door install, since I appear to be missing a piece for the striker, I'm going to go ahead and do the passenger door. So I've got it all cut out just like the other side. Use the same template, just reversed it. On this side, that hole here actually lines up correctly. And in the instructions it does say to put a 1/4" bolt just to hold everything in place while you mark it. So I'm going to go ahead and do that this time. I will add, I had to notch this corner again, same as the other side, to get enough clearance for this latch. So maybe my template's supposed to be a little bit higher, but I just did what they said and lined it up with here. But there's discrepancies in stamping, so I'm not going to read into it too much, because like I said, all these are going to be a hair different, so you just got to make it fit your own. But I was looking through pictures of that kit, of this kit rather, online, and I'm pretty positive I'm missing a pair of washers that go between the post that sticks out and the striker base itself. There's a washer that fits there, that spaces that out. That's that post out just a hair. It looks like it kind of allows it to ride up on that a little bit too, or whatever. But so I've emailed them. We'll see what they say. Hopefully I can get that in a hurry so I can still use this truck. We got a little bit of nice weather left this year, I hope. So it'd be nice to get that as soon as possible. Anyway, so I'm going to mark, drill these, and rinse and repeat like I did on the other side. Well, I got my washers for these Trique strikers. I just called the company, and they sent me out some immediately, which is super awesome. So that's what we're supposed to have there, is these washers here go on that peg. What I'm still a little concerned about, I thought these washers might end up being stepped right there to sit inside this groove. My concern is the way these go in here, with or without the washer. I'll put the washer on just so you see. Maybe if we can do it with one hand. There we go. So once it's in there, it's not tight fit at all. See how much range of motion there is? So I guess my thought is, closing, although the guy shouldn't be slamming the door, that could end up moving, but we'll see. Maybe not. Maybe that's all by design. It actually give you a little bit more range of adjustment even with that. I would have thought that would have been a snug fit, so that peg could not move, and then the whole striker itself would be the adjustment. But so assuming these are all the correct parts, that these are the right parts for that, then we'll put it together here and see how it goes. So I finally got this one mounted. What I'd found is that this guy here had standard threads and these were fine threads. So I'm guessing this one was replaced on the stock one years ago, and they just re-threaded it for what they had. So I've just reused that bolt, which ain't in very good shape, but it's going to work. Then those are fine. But what I'm running into now is that post don't stick out nearly far enough. In fact, this whole thing's gonna have to, oops, sorry. See in there here. So you can see where it's, I can get the light in there with me. Bear with me here. There you go. So you can see that that part's hitting right on the nut of the end of that post. So the whole striker needs to come out. Boy, 1/4 inch, which is interesting. It's a long ways off, considering the stock stuff works just fine. So I guess I'll have to build a piece of plate to go between here and there and then try it again. Hopefully them screws are long enough. They're going to be close, I think, so we'll give that a try. Maybe I'll throw the other side on just to see if it's as far off as this side and go from there. It looks like I'm having the same problem on this side as well. Again, when that, I don't know if I can get in there with this light. But it's basically the same thing on the other side as this piece here. Right on the face of that, it's hitting the face of this post. So what I'll try to do, I think for now, is just get another washer to put on between the post and there and see if that's enough. Otherwise I'll have to space the whole striker out away from the door jamb, so we try that next if needed. So that seemed to fix this side, so I've added another washer in between there. You got the original one and then that one there. So that gives me a nice close. It's not tight because I don't have a door seal anything left on this, so I need to get seals ordered for it. I think Trique sells those too. I might give those a try if they're the hollow type that I heard are easier to install. So I wouldn't imagine this is going to be tight because I don't have the seal on there. So I might try to snug it up just a little bit more if I can get the striker in a little bit farther, just so the door don't rattle in the meantime. But it's nice. You got the safety clutch and then you got that, so that's definitely a lot better than it was. Even it rattles a little bit, at least it's got a nice easy close to it. I definitely like that over stock, so I'll try that same trick on the other side and see if that moves it out enough. Otherwise I might end up having to build a spacer for it too. So just to kind of better show you what I mean, so this is on there but not tight yet. But look how much movement that has. I mean maybe that's how they, like I said, maybe that's normal, but I would have thought the peg would have been designed to fit tight with the striker. So again, maybe this is by design so it gives you more adjustment, which totally could be. I don't know, but since the whole striker itself has adjustment, I don't know. So I've made myself just a basic sheet metal shim here to go behind that, so we'll see if that spaces it out enough. It looks like one shim was close, so we're going to make one more. It almost wants to grab. If I hit it pretty hard, it'll go, which means it's probably flexing or something. So I'll give her one more sheet metal shim and see what that does. So it looks like 2 sheet metal shims in here and 1 washer out here was enough to bring it out to close. So I can live with that. And I've read online that this is not uncommon to run into this problem. Like I said, this truck's obviously been whacked. You can see the door, you know, I think I showed you the inside is all mangled up. So I'm sure it don't take much to be this far out of whack. So easier to shim out than go in. So I'm not upset about it. Just sometimes it takes some finagling, especially with doors. Again, this one doesn't have a seal on it either, so I'm not going to go to adjusting it too much until I get a seal put on it and get it to shut. So it's got a little bit of play in it, but at least I don't have to worry about the door popping open. So real nice. It's got a nice shut to it now. Not quite as good as the other one. It almost feels like the door itself's got a little bit of a kind of a bind to it. So anyway, I'm happy with that. I'll give her a test run and drive a little bit, see how I like it. But this is digging this, and this lesson to be learned here: don't hold on to a piece of sheet metal while you're drilling a hole in it. Mine snagged and barely got me there, but got my thumb pretty good all the way up it. So that was my dumb fault. I should have grabbed it with a pair of locking pliers. I was just in a hurry, I guess, and it happens. So anyway, yep, I'm digging these now that I got all the parts. But I don't know if spacing that out with a washer is a great idea. I don't think it'll hurt anything, but I guess time will tell. But normally if a guy don't go slamming his doors, they don't get out of adjustment. But that happens when you get passengers, though. Made a couple of new additions to the interior here. I added some door panel covers. whatever you want to call those. Those come out of that blue truck that I drug home. I just primed them red since that's fairly close match. Bought some armrests, so I got one for each side. It also comes with a pad that you can upholster, so I'll work on doing that later. But this at least gives the guy something to pull on if the window's rolled up to close the door. And then the other thing is, I figured it was time to add some sounds. So I just went and bought a Bluetooth speaker, and then I took and epoxied some magnets to the bottom of it. So one magnet wasn't real strong, so only the bottom magnet's the one that's glued on, and then I just added a couple more, and that does strengthen the pull. So this isn't a real heavy speaker, and these are those rare earth magnets or whatever, so they're pretty sturdy. So, yeah, you can see it. Literally, it'll pretty much, I'll show you, take it right out of my hands. So that ought to work just fine. Not super loud, of course, no bigger than it is, but that'll allow me to move it if I want to, and should be loud enough to play a few tunes off my phones while we're cruising around. So nothing exciting. These are cheap off at Amazon. You can get whatever brand, probably doesn't matter. Just look at the reviews and find a decent one. So yeah, and then also, so I put the magnets on the bottom so I could still reach those things while it was on the dash. That's why it's upside down. It doesn't really matter, but I figured it'd be nice. I could reach under there and still hit the volume and all that. So anyway,